Morning, K Sarasra.
Hey everyone, happy Friday.
Hey, K Sarasara. Hey, Michelle. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Hope
Great
I'm not
job.
getting any feedback. I've got to use my phone for the audio. When you talk, are you hearing any feedback through me?
No, you sound fine to me.
Sound very
Okay,
clear.
great. Awesome. Well, let's see. It's a couple minutes after start, right? So I'm looking through the list here. Nice to see everybody listening. Got Lexel. That's a new name. Call Rhino. Interesting. Edward. All my favorite peoples in Discord. Will and Martin coming in. I've been getting some DMs too, so thanks everybody for sending me messages with your thoughts and concerns and questions. That's always cool to respond to that if you don't feel comfortable posting it in the discussion channel. But the discussion's where you'll get a faster response usually. Morning Rocket. Hey Stan. Mr. Rip Rock. All right, well, yes, Napoleon. Oh, Napoleon's not listening, otherwise wouldn't be asking, did it start? Yes, we started. So welcome to the June 9th AMA. We've been doing this weekly for, I guess, about a year now, right? Coming up on a year, Michelle? Something like that.
Yeah, we got to be getting pretty close if we haven't already hit that. I'll have to look back in time and see how many we've actually done.
That's so cool. Yeah, so if you're new here, this is just where we share what's been going on with everybody. I'm Volcron. Farmer Michelle is here talking. Case Rossera. We have SageMaker. You can find us on Discord, of course. These are our names. Today we will not have Musashi, so anybody who was wanting to see his meme game, you'll just have to wait till next Friday. And good morning, Terra Mesa. Lizzie Lumberjack is asking, when AMA? Somebody ping him. So yeah, excited to get this off for today. It's going to be a good one. We have some headlines up front. I just wanted to say, yeah, I'll be doing a little commentary. Michelle's our MC. And what is up first, Michelle?
Oh, let's see here. Looks like we're going to jump right into some headlines. I think K Sarasra is going first to talk about competitions, mayhem, and rewards.
So let's start with that. So I'm sure most of you know that the achievement and referral rewards are still slightly delayed. We are still figuring out how many bots are there. Please give us until next week to resolve that issue. The last week's competition rewards did go out on Monday within almost 48 hours. And this week, if everything goes right, as soon as the competition ends in the next few hours, your rewards should be with you within the next 5 to 7 hours. So that will be a new milestone for us. The same day the competition ends, your rewards will be out. So, apart from this,
That is awesome.
yes. Apart from this, I don't think we've ever shared this number before. Every week competition, we give out almost 300K Gala in just the loyalty rewards, and we'll be continuing to doing so.
That's amazing. Did you say 300K Gala?
300K Gala just in loyalty
Wow.
rewards on top of the competition rewards that go out in every competition. So we have a really
That's
loyal
awesome.
player base that have been around in almost 2 years now. So I think that's about it for the rewards. Passing it back to you, Michelle.
All right. See, what else do I have to say? The Town Burn to Gala, as a reminder, is still live. I know someone asked about it already once today. It will end sometime around mid-September. So definitely, if you have not done that yet, you still have time. So get it done. We'll keep increasing the frequency of our reminders that it's ending as we get closer and closer to September. And I'll keep reminding you every Friday.
Michelle, do you know if there are any plans to change the ratio of the town to Gala is it best to do it now, or is it obviously people don't want to wait, but
Nope, it's going to stay the same.
okay,
Flat. It's what is it, 1.25 town to Gala. That is going to stay exactly the same, regardless of what the prices all do. Flat rate.
nice. Okay, that's great.
I think we're moving on to talking about some of the community meta poll results. See, so last week we did, it was 2 weeks ago now. I don't even know. I've lost track of time. It's gone by so fast. We did the meta poll to find out that we were going to do uniforms. That's gone swimmingly. Everybody seems to have been having a great time making uniforms. It's an oldie but a goodie. This next week we have Cabernet wine coming up with wool boosted. I believe those were some of the other top choices from the poll. It's always nice to have the community vote on what they want the next meta to be.
And today we will have a few more things that the community wanted before coming up.
Yeah. And I think that's all we've got to talk about for community meta.
Okay. Maybe time for some game updates.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there have been some fixes going out this week, and we have a release planned for today as well. Several ghost chart fixes. We've had some localization fixes, and there's been some interesting pathfinding fixes. There was one that we were able to fix around the engine. We thought, we found it. I think I mentioned last week. We found something deep in the engine that was causing a pathfinding problem, and we worked around that. So that was good. That'll be going out. And then also some visual fixes as well. Let me check. Anybody's commenting on this stuff in Discord? Not yet. Yeah, and then some notable features for this week. If anybody's been looking at our store, in case you don't catch it on the AMA, always good to bookmark the store and see what's up there. And we have that Brilliant sheet pen. That one's pretty cool. And the big trough. Thank you everybody for teaching me how to say that aloud. As a reader, it's not trowel. So that's out there. We got the tomato storages, turkey skin, and I think we're still looking at another one. I don't want to say out loud if we haven't confirmed it's going out. It's that last one on the list there, Michelle. So that is some of the updates from this week. Will NFT storage issues be fixed from DeFi? Yes. We want to fix all the bugs, of course, and they get prioritized. I'll get into some of the ones we've been looking at lately, but yes, we always balancing feature work versus bug fixing. So yes, NFT storage issues will be fixed. Let's see the tractor drivers. That's great, Mafia Dub. Okay, so what's coming up next for the game? Well, I have some really interesting news. This, in terms of scaling our servers, which not only reduces our costs, but it adds a lot of stability, had a ton of really good work went in this week. We've been actually working with the Godot developers directly and having meetings with them and working on a couple things, and had some really, really promising results for the ability to scale. This was a question that I think Dubstep had asked last week. Rip Rock had asked last week as well. He's like, how can you guys, if the servers are timing out, spinning T, whatever, how can you expect to scale? And, my answer at the time was like, well, of course, we're going to support more players per server. So major progress on that this week. Really happy with it. It's in test now, and it's looking really good. So fast forward, as some of you, that's what we call it because that's kind of how the tech behind it. But what it really means to the players is offline play. And so that's been in test for several weeks now, and fixed a few more bugs yesterday. It's we're going over it again in a couple hours here to see the progress on that, and it's looking good. Just we keep finding some interesting bugs in it. There was one regarding stars, which was other people had complained about this week, which was fixed. I think that's going out today, and that's tied into fast forward as well. So that's as far as our fast forward and our stability. Let me give Discord a sec, see if anybody has any last minute questions about that. Purchase of NFTs. Yeah, I actually, so Night Fury has the question, will the purchase of NFTs with credit or debit cards be fixed? I'm not sure on the status on that one. Do you happen to know that one offhand, Michelle? I don't know.
No, I know
Okay.
that I continue to ask the customer support team, and they are working with Circle to try to get it all figured out.
Okay.
But yeah, at this point, we're kind of stuck behind some Circle
Okay.
stuff.
All right. Well, we have some Q&As. The first one is there any chance of getting told in the game when your game is not saving? Players are perceiving this as a disconnect, or they're perceiving it as rollbacks. We don't do rollbacks on this. The technical reason behind it is that, yes, you are connected to the server. The server is authorizing all of your actions, like when you go to place a building and all that. If you can place a building, the server told your client it's okay to place that building. So it's not a matter of, oh, we're disconnected, just show the disconnect or the spinning T, right? What happens when there are these, and this is specifically for you, Willow, what happens when there are these, you play and then you come back, you're like, oh my gosh, I got a rollback. It's a known bug. We're working on it. It's a little deep in the code. But what happens is that the client and the server are communicating fine. Everything is being authorized, but the periodic saves are not succeeding. And that's a big deal, right? So we need to communicate up to the client and say, halt the horses or whatever, stop. Your town isn't being saved. Error, probably not spinning T, something a little better, prettier. So that's the status on that one. We know what's causing it, and it's in the queue to get fixed. No changes. Let's see. So Beer is asking, what are you doing with the freezing issue? You're saying the spinning T, or where your town disconnects, or the video I saw, it's also from Nacho. I saw a video yesterday where somebody showed the workers running at super speed and then freezing. Is that what you guys are talking about? Give it a sec. Well, if it is, yeah, that's being looked at right now. That's all I could say. So next question. Yeah, the animals stop moving, stuff like that. Yeah, so those are related to when the farmer goes out and holds still. In November, we saw an early version of this when we enabled cheats in the game. And I'm not saying anybody's cheating. We know you're not. It's easy to tell. But when there is a cheat-enabled client talking to a no, you can't cheat server, we would see our workers running at super speed, and then they would get out in the middle of the field and they'd freeze until the server said, okay, now your little guy has made the walk and now he's there, and they would unfreeze. That's not the problem here. I'll have to look into the root cause on the ticket, but yep, it's logged. And last Q&A question I have is about the UI. The way it was phrased was, I'm still waiting for the ability to place 10 of the same NFTs without going back over and over to the NFTs screen. Yep. So I don't have any word on when the store and the inventory pages are getting a UI revisit or rework, but I do agree that that's an important aspect of the user experience. So let's see. Yeah, workers disappear from town, converts to a ghost town. Yeah, I saw that, and then I saw a couple of the bug responses. There was a really interesting one where, depending on how much money you have based on your, the amount of cash in your town versus your minute burn rate, could cause activity or lack of activity, which was a really interesting one that one of our guys is working on. So that is it for the direct Q&A so far. What do you think? Is it time for story time?
Yeah, let's move on to story time.
All right. Let's see if there is a SageMaker around.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm happy to talk to everybody. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. I've been watching the chat here, trying to get my notes in order to talk to you guys a little bit about the vision for Townstar going forward. I kind of mentioned this in the gold discussion group last night that I was going to share that. Got a lot of stuff to share. And it all started when I was a boy and I was about 5 years old. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go into story mode too much, but really want to talk about, actually a recap of a lot of stuff that we've been talking about for the last 8 months or so. Musashi and I did a lot of work in the fall about the vision, the planning, and the features and things we want to add. We've talked about it in multiple AMAs. Right now, it feels like the time to pull it all together and share it so that people can really understand what's going on, what's happened. And some people who maybe joined us since last fall or are new, don't know what's going on. I know over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of folks asking about what the vision for the game is, and does the team even have a vision and all that. Sure, we do. And I figured I'd just go into that today. That sound interesting to everybody? I'm watching Discord. Everybody's talking about ghost cards and Christmas cards and stuff. Maybe it's delayed. Anyways, yeah. Either I've got a massive delay on Discord, or not too many people are interested in knowing about the future. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, we started. It's starting to come up now. Anyways, I'm going to actually modify the way we talk about this, and I'm going to actually share some notes to kind of like maybe a little bit of an interactive session in terms of how we describe this, so that not only you guys can hear it, but anybody who wants can take a snapshot and pin up what these notes are about. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if this works. Yeah. All right. First step is, look, guys, the way I see Townstar right now, it's a little bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? It's pretty hardcore sandcastle puzzle competition game that looks fun, light, and approachable, but really isn't, right? And the reason I call it a sandcastle game, because after the end of the competition, your town's wiped out and there, boom, it's not there anymore. So you've got to keep rebuilding it, right? And that's fun for a lot of people, but it looks like a happy-go-lucky permadeath, right? Oh my gosh. So there's yeah, so we want to change that. We want to keep growing the game. We want to change the vision. We want to expand it a bit. And one other thing I'm going to share in here is, every time I talk about the future and the vision, some people get really nervous. Like, what about my competitions? I love them. Well, I tell you what, we're going to keep working on what's happened, continue the work currently happening on competitions, all the other plans to turn on earnings, decorations, the things that we've been talking about for months as we get moved over to Godot and then get switched on to Jiri. So those things are going to happen, right? We keep going that. What I'm going to talk about right now is kind of the longer, the bigger level vision for the game. And, again, some of you guys are going to know this. You're going to have seen this before, but here we are. Let's see. Share that little text blurb out there. So the vision going forward, top level idea is a living, breathing, persistent town, right? I love that idea of a nice, safe place you can call home. You can go in there and build your stuff. You can tweak it. You can play with it. You can decorate it. You can really make it that special place that you're just building up to have fun. Anybody who's seen the work that I've done before, you kind of know what that can be like and how fun that is. And also how just welcoming that can be to new players who aren't quite ready to go play the hardcore competition game, can get in there, learn this stuff, and have fun playing with it. So that's the top level idea. Now let's talk about some key elements in this. All right. And this one, yeah, someone mentioned nodes. I'll share a little bit about nodes after I get through the gameplay notes here, but let me share some node notes right here. And unfortunately, what I'm finding out is I'm pasting stuff into let's see if we can get this work. Oh, it's not really working so well. So let me change up my paste game here for a second, and I'll just paste them one bit at a time. Okay. So we all know about persistent mode, right? We've talked about that. That's the gameplay mode where your town lives on forever and you keep it there, and you just can continue to upgrade it. So I like to call that kind of gameplay toys in a sandbox. So going forward, we're going to be adding some new toys for your sandbox, right? Families, citizens, civilian buildings, and businesses, other new types of NFTs and land and expansions, right? And that's pretty cool because I like that idea of building really simple components, and then when you stack them together, they create a complex system of interactions. And if you do them right, you have fun there. And it sort of builds into the set of emergent behaviors that you can't find through sort of prepackaged ideas or prepackaged scenarios. Along with those new toys for the sandbox, we've talked about this for months. Jiri NFTs are unique, upgradable, and have progression, right? So buildings, workers, NPCs, player progression, and level ups as well. You're like, wow, what does that mean? Well, for example, if you have a building that you've been using for a long time and it has a lot of, let's just call it XP or experience playing in the game that you've been using, say you have a crafting building you've used a bunch of times, well, it makes sense that that guy suddenly gets some skills and levels up, right? That's pretty cool. And then workers, boy, you know what happens when you move to Jiri, right? We go from effectively the equivalent of 1155s to 721s. So all your workers can all now be unique. We can have them names. We can have them special attributes. We can have them, upgradable as well. You can give buffs to them. So there's a lot of cool parts and pieces there that come from very simply being on top of Jiri, but then adding the upgrades and progressions, right? So now we've talked a lot about toys that we're adding to the sandbox, right? And but we're also have the concept of upgrading what I call a simulation level, right? And that's level and progression systems. We talked about those for NFTs. The idea of a tech or a build tree that any kind of games, if you've seen the games I've worked on before, you know that as you're building up a town or a farm or something like that, you get to a certain point and now you need civil buildings, right? Maybe a town hall or maybe, police station, fire station, those kind of things. When we put when you add that idea of families into the world, well, you can talk about single family homes and then apartment complexes and then the businesses that need to service them, restaurants and stores and everything like that. We'll also be adding, and I didn't get that in the list there, but new types of engagement mechanics and clicks. Because right now you build your town, then you spend most of your time watching it. Well, we want to add some more of those engagement and clicking mechanics in there. We've talked a bit about the idea about social experiences and making the game more social. I know there's been some attempts in the past to do that, which haven't always gone so well with Jimmy, but we'll bring those things back. I don't have the details to share on that right now, but that's definitely coming. And then the last bit of new sort of repeat information I just want to share again with everybody. New types of events and competitions. So when you kind of put the whole thing together, right? You have persistent mode, you got families, civil buildings, businesses, upgradable NFTs and workers and buildings, and then you got a level progression system with a tech tree and worker energy system, all those things. You can see that this becomes a very, very full, living, breathing world fun place to play. Okay, now I see people going like, couch potato, when. This is a long-term vision, right? When will we have all these parts and pieces involved and installed and playing? This isn't a roadmap, this is a vision. And I'm sharing that with you guys so that everybody can know and see really where we're going in the plans, what we've been building for all along, right? And yeah, I see Ed77. Yeah, we've been talking about it for a year. Yeah, I know. I know there's going to be some people in there that are salty and, kind of want to be, I don't know what you want to do, kind of throw in their opinions on stuff. This is where we're going. So I'm really excited about it. But I can tell you how we're going to build it. And I mentioned it before. We've always talked about it. And this is where I will tell a little bit of a story. Back working on Farmville, before we had animals in the game, and believe it or not, we didn't have animals when we first launched. We wanted to get the cow feature in. And I asked one of our designers, said, hey, we need to get the cow in. We need to be thinking about the systems that cows will use. And they said, okay, it's going to take me a couple of weeks to design that. I'm like, dude, we gotta move much faster than that. Anyways, long story short, the person came back about 2 weeks later, and it had, the idea of the cow, the milking barn, the breeding barn, all of these things. And I said, you know what? Those are cool, and I will get to those. But let's do the first simple thing with the cow. Get the cow in the game. It moves. It moves a step or two. It moves. It makes sound every once in a while, and you click on it, you can get milk from it, right? And we ended up doing that, but actually the cow couldn't move because it would desync. So we just let it sit in the game, make a sound, and you click on it, you get milk. Well, that little tiny piece there, that little bit of that cow just adding in there created a whole new set of features, right? It was the atomic element that allowed us to go from cows giving, white, normal cows giving milk, and then we have brown cows giving chocolate milk, and pink cows giving pink milk, and then eventually, about 3 or 4 months later, we got to the milking barn. We got to the breeding barn, with had all different kinds of things. We got the lonely cow virtual feature, right? And so that's how we're going to build this, one little tiny atomic element at a time. You'll see it be introduced, and then that'll allow us to open up more and more larger design spaces. So when's it going to come? We're planning on it, right? Thinking about it, Musashi and I are sitting down and looking at, how do we create the longer term plan? How do we create the roadmap for the team? How do we make this work? What kind of resources we have, and what do we need to make this happen? Now, these are all on top of everything else that we've already been talking about. Okay, so next is nodes. Nodes. You guys want to hear about nodes? Actually, before we go into nodes, any questions on all that? Besides when? I answered that. Besides, questions we've already talked about. Okay, excited for the future. Thanks, Seahorse. Concerns here now. Nah, not Farmville 2.0 dash. That's a really old, out of date game. Nodes. Nacho, you own some nodes? Anyways, cool. Okay, well, we'll jump to notes. You guys save up your questions. I know that I dumped a lot. I put the text in the chat so you can read it and collect it up. I can give to Farmer Michelle to pin a single note. If we had the idea of bullet points and everything, I could share that in the chat here. Maybe I'll create a picture and share it out for everybody as well. But nodes. Okay, the next step on nodes. Some people know, and it's been announced, it's been rumored. We're looking at the idea of converting nodes into NFTs, right? And you're like, "Whoa, that's a pretty cool idea," because that would allow them to be bought, sold, and traded, and all that. Now, while that's cool, we want to give option to our node holders for that. We're looking at it. We don't have it set in stone yet, but that's a big thing that we're looking at doing for everybody. And on top of that, though, that's just not it. Allowing it to be, sold, swap, traded, or whatever is only part of the picture. The next thing that we're looking at is really expanding the functionality. I'm going to go ahead and put some more text into the chat there. I've already covered the first one, converting nodes to NFTs, rental systems for land and NFTs. You've seen some of this happening in other places across Gala. We know that rentals is a path for new players, people just joining the ecosystem to join in and have some fun, and then really get up to speed. And then also, if you have NFTs that you're not using, maybe you've progressed on to some more advanced ones, or you've changed up your style of play, the ability to be able to rent those out to other players and have people get the benefit of the NFTs, and then give you some reward for it. Anybody who's seen our Spider Tanks game, you know how that's formed there. It's called Pilot System, and you can get in and pilot someone else's tank. I know that I've done that a lot of times myself. So and Volcron's talked about in the past the idea of running fast forward on nodes, actually helping the ecosystem process people's games, doing nightly runs on that, and then, of course, special competitions as we go there. So that is the long-term large vision. Oh, I forgot one key thing: mobile. Getting the getting the web mobile version up and done, and then getting mobile apps up and working. So that's going to be some pretty decent lift there on the mobile side of things, but we know we want to get that to expand the player base.
Would you mind if I jumped in on that real quick on the mobile?
Go for it.
Okay, that was a big decision and why we went with Godot. Not only is the HTML5 support for the client just stellar performance-wise and feature-wise, but what Godot can export for PC, Mac OS, which is not mobile, but those are platforms, right? And of course, iOS devices and Android is very, very good compared to a lot of other game engines. It's really mature. It's very solid, and it was something we can rely on. So I'm really excited to see where we can take it.
Cool. Yes, I am too. Dash, I'm happy with the vision. Please don't move away from TS as a building game. What do you mean by that, as a building game? Building up stuff, or as buildings, like that's the main feature? Wait, as that comes up there. Rental system was shown as in progress on November 21st. I don't think that it was shown as in progress. We talked about it being something that we were thinking about doing, but gosh, if it was, we really missed on that one. It's building game, is it? Anyways, I'll wait. Dash, when you got that note, I'll take a look at it. We are in team 444. Yeah, part of this is moving away from just pure hardcore sandcastle puzzle game, right? And you're asking, what's the short-term goal? We've talked about that ad infinitum, getting competitions up and working, turning on earnings, things like that. So I'm talking about longer-term vision right now. Oh, that was Gala, Galaverse. That was the rental system was talked about. Wow. Okay, that was before my time last year. Couch potato. We don't talk about team size or team composition. Suffice to say, it is a large and growing number. Company really believes in this game. We have the vision. We're going to make it happen. Okay, so maybe Volcron and Michelle, is it time to move forward?
Seems like people are getting excited about any kind of visual leaks we might have.
Yes.
Or
Art and visual leaks. Is it time for that?
I think it is.
Oh, okay. Let me let me get my stuff up and ready. Okay, got two things to leak or share with you guys today. One, shared already in Gold last night, the idea of adding ambient occlusion to the game. And so I just put two images there. If you can see, left image and the right image. The left image was the original, and the right image shows the idea of ambient occlusion. And you go, wow, how can I really even tell the difference? One of the things that you can really just kind of get a clue on what ambient occlusion does is when you look at the right image, the buildings feel like they have a little more connection to the terrain. The left image, right, when you look at the storage there, it just kind of looks like a red building on top of a green set of felt. And then when you look to the right, you see a little bit of a darker line that sort of intersects them. So that's the vision that we learned a long, long time ago making RTS games, just the idea of getting the building connected to the ground. Before, we always used to have to paint that in by hand, but now we have the wonderful feature of ambient occlusion there. Okay, so that's one note. The other thing is, boy, let me show these two. Let me go ahead and upload these two videos, and I'm going to start one to upload right away first. Let's see how fast that one goes, and then I'm going to start another one. Let's see how that's happening. And these videos are time of day feature. I know we've showed concepts before, and they are we talked about it actually about a month or two ago, but now, if what I'm hearing correct from Musashi and team, time of day looks like it's going to go in next week if the tests all work out as planned. Is that correct, Volcron? Do you know details on that, or Michelle?
Oh, sorry, I was responding to a DM. I shouldn't do that. What was the question?
So Musashi told me that time of day is supposed to go out next week. Is that
Oh,
true?
yes. I was just chatting with the dev. It is looking good. It's in test, and we're hoping to see it next week.
Okay, that's awesome. And so the videos I got are in MKV format. So they show up really well in Slack, but they might not show up so well here inside of Discord. Are you guys able to see those? Do they play for you? Or you have to download them?
I'm clicking on it.
Yeah, it shows a download for me. Sorry about that. Somebody can process and re-upload them. That'd be awesome. But those two videos are actually showing live running in-game, in-engine with the new code from one of our devs doing that. Let's see. Okay, so that was a little anticlimactic since it was wrong formats. What I'll do is while we're finishing up and having other AMAs, I'll see if I can convert them and then upload them in a new format. If anybody in the community can, can do that as well, that'd be helpful.
So on Windows 11, it does open in the media player.
Okay.
Man, that looks good.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. It makes the buildings somehow look more touchable, if that makes sense. Like it's more almost like board game look to it. It's really exciting to see this feature coming live soon.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, while you guys go on some questions, I'm gonna scramble real quick and get a new format for those videos.
All right, sounds good.
Do we have any other questions from anyone out there in Discord? We can move on if not. I'm sure Case Restaurant would love to talk about the next competition.
Yes, let's start doing that. Let's talk about the next competition. So for the next week's meta, we're gonna have Cabernet Sauvignon. Let me just post all the details in the chat itself. It's going to be, yes, it's going to be a Forest East, which will have an oil seep of its own. Your north and south will be covered with a river and a mountain. Your east will be open-ended, and your west, for the first time now, you will find a desert. Like you're gonna need all that sandy for your sand mines. This time we are also changing the trade time. It will only take you 20 seconds to get the trade in. It will still cost you 1 gas to do so. And next week we are gonna have bull cash boosting. Apart from this, the reward for the next week's yes. Sorry, I think we talked about this before. The reward for this week's uniform competition is the Gale Force Dynamo. This is it. Let me post all the details as well. And for the Cabernet Sauvignon competition, the reward is going to be the Glinting Sauvigns. Let me post the details for it as well. Glinting Sauvigns is a Cabernet grapes ghost card, which will reduce the crafting time of all your Cabernet grape farm. I think that's about all I have on the next meta. Back to you, Michelle.
See, did we get any other live questions while that was happening?
Smoogie asks to repeat the details of the biomes, please.
Yes, of course. It's going to be a forest east biome, and it will have an oil seep in it.
Let me see if I can find a picture of it, even though it'll be live in a couple hours in the casual mode. Any other questions out there? Let's see here. Oh, are we going to talk about the NFTs that are going on sale this week?
Oh, we will get to that at the end. I think we should talk about what's coming up in the metas after that, right?
Yeah, go for it. Was that me? I'm supposed to talk about it? I see it's
Tell you
got
what,
my name next to it.
let's both talk about it. Why don't you go
Okay.
ahead first?
Let's see. I'm not 100% sure what exactly we're doing. I know we talked a bit about it last week. There's going to be some panning. So we've got probably gold panning. I haven't looked exactly to see what it is that we're doing the week after this. We'll be making jewelry.
Yes, jewelry comes to Townstar. Get ready, everyone. So to start you out with, we are going to be introducing 3 different metals to the game. We are going to be introducing copper, silver, as well as gold. In the first week, we are going to start very slow actually, and I don't want to give out all the details just yet. You will have those details next week. But rest assured, we will be building and crafting more and more complex and more interesting jewelry over time. We are going to start out very slow. And that's not all. You're gonna also find yourself putting in glass piece in your jewelry as well as wool threads and a lot of other cool stuff that we are currently coming up with. I think that should be enough for you guys until next week. Next week we'll have a lot more details.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. Let's see if that. It looks like there've SageMaker's come back in and posted a couple videos, or at least one. So you guys scroll up a bit if you want to see it. I think it looks super fun. Can't wait to see how everybody reacts to this in live.
Yeah, the second video is loading up right now. So next time I'll just make sure we
there it
put
is.
the get the right format before I upload them. They look great in Slack, but forgot that everybody's not like Slack.
I like how our dev left his 140 FPS up there at the top to show off. That's nice.
Flippin' Hatter, I see your note there. Let me, I'm just going to copy that, do my little eyeball thing so that, we've got it. And I'm going to share it down with the team. I know we've got work on thoughts going on the UI for everything.
I'm not sure what I see someone's asking about the Noir Hero. I know that we talked about it last week and probably the week before also. I don't believe that there's a strict timeline for when they will be in game. I know they're a little bit different because they're not the same kind of NFT as the rest of our NFTs, since most of them are 1155s and these ones are 721s. So it's just a little bit harder, I think, to get it in. I don't know what the timeline is though.
Yeah, we were working on that on Wednesday as well. That was the last time I checked in on that. The people working on that one. So it's in progress. Well, let's see. What's everybody think about those videos? I don't see a lot of reaction. Maybe because we've shared similar videos before, or I see the heart reacts and the fires. I wonder what our listeners and Discord people think about the display here, the display changes for a time of day. So I think that about wraps us up, right? We covered our sale, we covered the leaks, long-term vision, Q&A, what's up next, of course the game updates.
Well,
any
actually, yes, we still haven't covered sales, so that is the most exciting part today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. For some reason
Yeah,
okay.
Let's talk about sales. So someone has already leaked a little bit of info about it, but let me get into it. Like I still remember when we launched Hatchet Hank, everybody loved it, how fun it was, and people were asking why not make it accessible to more players. Well, guess what? That is exactly what we did. Next week coming up is the Hatchet Hank Jr. He does everything as his dad does, but slightly bit worse, and not exactly everything that his dad does. Let me put in all the details. He will increase the speed of your lumberjacks by 15%, and your tree farms will grow by 10% faster. It will be there will be 2100 supply of it, but we will only put in 1300 in store on Monday. We don't know when the rest will come in, but rest assured it will only come at a costlier price someday in the future. You can actually stack the effect up to 3 times, and if you will notice, even after all the stacks, even with the maximum speed, your lumberjacks will still be slower than your logger houses. So in your end game, you still have to set up your logger houses, and it's still not gonna compare to your Hatchet Hank, but it will be a very nice addition to your family. And that's not it. We actually have one more sale next week, and after that, we have a surprise, another thing related to sale for everyone. So the next item, yeah, I bet a lot of people have watched Dubstep's stream. I still remember the first time I watched his stream and I saw him do the wine bottle rush. I thought it was so freaking cool. But when I found out that you needed 3 of the rarest ancients in the game to do that, and then some more, I was so disappointed. But you know what? Something that powerful, it should be hard to get. Like, it's okay if it takes that long. But that doesn't mean that only Dubstep and a few other players gets to have all the fun. Next week, with the sale NFT that we have next week, you will be able to set up your own wine bottle rush. It will just be a slightly less powerful, and it will take you a little bit longer to get it set up. The next NFT for sale is the Crystal Sanctum. Once where only corrupted stand rain, now stands the Crystal Sanctum, which will give you 1 passive silica, 1 passive limestone, and 1 passive chromium to the surrounding tiles. It will be in store on Monday. And it's only a limited time offer. We are only going to release 100 of them right now, and it will be in store only for a week. We do not know when the next ones will show up. Let me give you a little look at how it looks as well. Yes, there will be a purchase limit on Crystal Sanctum. You can only buy 1, of course. And finally, the last surprise for today, I got a lot of DMs from people saying that they were not able to avail the sheep pen offer. Well, that made me a little bit sad. So guess what we did? We are going to extend that offer until next Monday. Until next Monday, 11 a.m. PST, if you have bought 2 sheep pens, you will get a free truff. In fact, for every 2 sheep pens you buy, you will get a free truff. So if you still haven't yet, go ahead and get those. I think that's about everything I have. I bet some people are already running to get those pens. Back to you, Michelle.
All right, thank you so much. Pretty interesting, and thanks for clearing up some of those questions about Hatchet Hank there in the chat, Michelle. Any last questions in Discord?
Oh, there's those notes from stage.
Share that the text I'll put into a single document there for people to see. It's a vision. It's not a roadmap. I know it used to be a big deal for everybody to post their roadmaps out to the community, but that we're not going to do that. We're just sharing the vision here. We've talked about the plans that we're working on right now. The biggest next thing coming up is, of course, turning on earnings. I guess that maybe in between that is the fixes that happen with Godot, the Godot engine, to get fast forwarding and stability in place.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? I see something from Furionic. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll stick eyeballs on it. You guys know when I stick eyeballs on stuff, that means it's seen and shared with the team. can't respond to everything. I mean, it's a challenge for anybody, Michelle, myself, anybody in the community, respond to the tens and hundreds of questions that keep coming up, and then the repeated questions, and everything like that. So when you see the eyeballs there, that means I've captured the comment and shared it with the team, and we'll let the experts on the team give feedback, notes, and thoughts to that, as well as integrate it into the planning that's already going on every single day of the week. What are the questions, guys? Is that it? Do we run out of questions and thoughts? Anything on Twitter? Anybody watching Twitter?
I can check. Nope, I don't see any comments at all.
Okay.
Oh, there was one other thing I was supposed to say, since Ninja Surprise isn't here. He wanted me to let everybody know that we will be starting a Gleam contest next week on Twitter. I believe that we're giving away some Turbo Pump NFTs and some rare wineries. So definitely be on the lookout on the Twitter page for details for when that Gleam is going to go live and what it's going to consist of. Everybody loves a good Gleam competition.
That's cool.
See, Townstar for mobile and touchscreen usable. That's on the short-term plans. I don't know what Masashi has set up for that, when that'll be done, but it is short-term and important to us. More players, Seawolf. Well, our numbers show our data shows numbers are going up. So, we don't typically share information about details on the KPIs, but you can tell from some of the work. Everybody's wondering, well, are you even doing anything? Well, we've got Ninja Surprise in there, showing up every single day. More Gleam campaigns, Mayhem, a lot of work there to attract and retain players, and of course, everybody in the community that can do lend a hand on that helps everybody out, helping new players as they show up. Giving them a nice, happy, welcoming experience is also good as well.
There's a question about how confident are we, this from Violet, that Persistent Town will be very popular?
Oh, good question. Yeah, what do you think, Volkan? You have ideas? I've got lots of ideas.
Well, it's such a free, from our perspective, it's such a free feature that comes along with the tech we've already built to handle competitions and everything else. My view on it is like, why not just include it? It doesn't require a ton of extra tech. So from my perspective, like, if you don't like the persistent towns, then maybe just do the competitions, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. What I do know, having made not just town and farm games, but also RTS games, I know that they're just generically or fundamentally in the game industry, players who like to compete hardcore. And then there's players who like to have their own personal experience, some social to it, but personal, build their own little place, play their own game the way they want to play. And, we saw that very clearly in, the massive success of farm games and city games around the world. But I also saw it really clearly in something as complex as an RTS game. What we found out back then, early, some of the earliest stats and metrics ever collected for a game is that we literally found out that we would spend 9 months, 12 months, 18 months building a whole bunch of solo play levels, which we loved, and 90% of the people would play those levels and play them through. 10% of the whole player base would try multiplayer online one-time competition, and then only 10% of those people would come back for a second game, right? So there's definitely an audience for hardcore competition play, but there's a much larger audience for, let's just call it casual play, play at your own pace, build your own space. We also know that this type of play will attract new types of players, right? And so I've got high confidence in that. Now, it has to be pulled off well. It has to be created well, right? And we know how to do that. We know how to add more social features to keep it more engaging. We know how to build tech trees to make that work well. As you're, sort of building up your town, you get a real sense of progression. And then we know how to handle the idea of expanding your land and adding new types of scenarios, experience, or in this game we call them biomes. So there's a lot of high confidence in that.
I see M. Whalen asking if the casual mode will have play and earn.
We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. We still have the earnings mode for us. I think we did the original thing is called sandbox mode, casual mode. But we'll have to see how that works out. If we can make it work, I'd love to do that. But when you talk about longer term persistent worlds, you know that needs to have a persistent lands, persistent towns that needs to have a new tokenomics model for it, right? And the idea of engagement, right? Making a game where you just plunk down an NFT and you come back in a day and you have earnings from it, you don't do anything and don't play it. That's not really a game, is it? Right? It's more of a staking system. Some of the stuff that older Web3 DeFi games used to call a game. We're not going to go in that direction. We're actually making a game that has Web3 elements in it, as opposed to taking Web3 and just pretending to call it a game. Seawolf, you often ask for the vision. Yeah, I know you've been asking that for weeks. And we've said all this stuff before. Now it's just in print. Literally, we've shared, I think 95% of the stuff I shared last fall. So it's there. You guys can pin it, save it, point it out to new people. What other questions, Michelle and Volcron?
There's one from Lazy Lumberjack saying, responding to my comments about, I really like watching my towns grow. And Lazy Lumberjack said, well, can these towns be saved somehow so they could be loaded later? Yeah, it's interesting. We have talked about archive towns, view-only towns. We've talked about creating snapshots of towns at key moments, like when you surpass a certain production rate or a certain money value, or you place down your first bakery or some other milestone. So yeah, there are all sorts of options for saving and pulling back up the town state in different viewers. That ties a little bit into our really long-term plans of providing an API for players. We talked about this, I think, 3 AMAs ago. The first that the people were really asking for was a leaderboard API. It's something we're taking seriously, and we're working with our DevOps teams and everybody to see if we can make this a scalable and valuable resource for the players as well. And that would be probably a route where you would see things like that pop up. Can anyone write utilities of the new NFTs? That sounds like maybe a que sera sera question.
Yeah, I have an entire announcement coming out as soon as the AMA ends. Just like we do every week.
Awesome. Well, my meme game has been not as good this week without Musashi, so looking forward to having Musashi back next Friday.
I see a note from Coco Loco. Maybe casual town users can build certain things that can be traded with other players or sold in the marketplace. I think that's a wonderful idea. Very social. Very social. All right. I'm going to have to jump off, guys. Well, got something else I got to run to right now.
All
I'll
right.
let you guys finish the last questions and wrap everything up. Thank you, everybody. Great to see everybody in the community again.
Thank you for joining.
Have fun, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye, SageMaker.
Dash, I'm not 100% sure what your question is asking. What do you mean by what server will earnings come from?
Oh, maybe competition versus casual.
I think that's what Sage had just spent all that time talking about. So definitely the competition, and then we're gonna figure out how to make it work properly without it just being placed down an NFT and claim points in the casual mode. Nacho, the new meta is in the pins. Anyone else have any last minute questions before we all jump off? Doesn't look like it. All right. Well, let's wrap it.
Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in, especially those of you who stay up late or get up early to listen to us or to read the notes. It's been awesome. Looking forward to playing with you later. Goodbye, AMA peoples.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.